Okay, first I want to review what you did yesterday. Okay, you seem to know what you're doing. So you got two functions, and what you're doing is just numerous operations between the functions. Okay, so f function is 3x minus 2, the g function is 9x plus 1. That's called functional notation when there's a parentheses x after it. So f plus g of x, so I've got f plus g. So f is, I didn't give you much workspace on this one, Chief. Okay, 9x plus 1. Yeah, kind of fit that. So we don't have to do number 1, okay? You won't have to do number 1 on any of these. Okay, number 2, you don't do because there's nothing to multiply. And then here you just add your x's, that'd be 12x, and add your constants, negative 2 plus 1 would be negative 1. Okay, so come up here and just put 12x minus 1. Circle it. Okay, so f plus g of x equals that. F plus g of negative 2 means just put negative 2 in for the x. Okay, so we got 12x minus 1. So I'm going to put a negative 2 here, and I take 12 times negative 2 minus 1. Okay, negative 25. Okay, now to subtract two functions, it's the same as when you add them. There's just one little switch you have to make. Okay, so the g function is 9x plus 1. The f function is 3x minus 2. Now, you don't have to worry about 1 and 2, but before you combine like terms, you got to make that a plus, and the 3 goes negative, and the 2 goes positive. Okay, so 9 and negative 3 makes 6x. 1 plus 2 makes 3. So g minus f of x is equal to 6x plus 3. So that's g minus f of x. G minus f of 3 means I just insert 3 in for the x. Okay, 6x plus 3. So it's going to be 3. So 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. Okay, remember division. You just make a line. You put the g, 9x plus 1, and the f, 3x minus 2. Don't divide expressions, okay? That's what it's equal to. And now g of divided by f and negative 2, that means I just put a negative 2 in for x here and here. Okay, so 9 times negative 2 plus 1 is going to be negative 17. 3 times negative 2 minus 2 is negative 8. Okay. You can circle that. If you have two negatives, you would cancel them. They become positive. So 17/8. Okay, now remember what the blank circle means. It means insert. Okay. So you start with the g, okay, which is 9x plus 1. And then you insert for the x the entire f function, which is 3x minus 2. Okay, so 9 parentheses 3x minus 2 plus 1. You won't have to do step 1, but you will have to do step 2 because you have to distribute the 9, not to the plus 1 though, just those two. So it's 27x minus 18 plus 1. Then we have 27x. Negative 18 plus 1 is going to be negative 17. Okay? So just put 27x minus 17. Then I screwed up. I didn't give you a number to put in, so we'll just say that's our answer. Okay, next one. It's another insert. This time we start with the f, okay, which is 3x minus 2. And in for the x, we insert the g, which is 9x plus 1. So we have 3 minus 2. Okay, so distribute that. That's going to be 27x plus 3. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Okay, distribute it. Okay, 27x plus 3 minus 2. Then we have 27x, 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay. Alright, now here's what you're doing on the assignment, okay? That's just kind of a recap of what you did yesterday. Your assignment's just one page front back, okay? And what I'm trying to do is take this, okay? They're going to tell us this at the start with the insert, okay? And we have to get back to the two functions, okay? It seems complicated, but it's really not going to be hard because fortunately in order to do that, okay, they give you a symbol, okay? Like with a radical, here's an absolute value, here's a parentheses, here's a parentheses. You circle the inner part of the expression, and that is your G. Okay? You have inserted x minus 6 into that expression. Now, what was there to begin with? Well, we're going to x that out, and we're just going to put x itself, x by itself. So I make a radical, I put a 3, and then instead of x minus 6, we just put x. Okay? That's all there is to it. Okay, now it's an absolute value, so the inner expression is x minus 4. Okay? Now to find the beginning expression, the first expression, you cross that out and you put x. Okay, so you have 3, and then you make your absolute value and you put x inside of it and then close the absolute value. Okay, next one. Okay, so the inside expression is x minus 4. X that out, I put x, so I have a parentheses, but inside now we just put x and then to the third power. Okay, the inner expression is x plus 3. So we put 5, parentheses, instead of x plus 3, we're just going to cross that out, put x. So 5x to the second, everything else stays the same. It's just that inner that goes to just an x, okay? These are my two separate functions, okay? Because to insert, I'd replace cx with x plus 3, and that would take me to where I start. Okay, next up, we have a square root this time. I still do it the same way. X minus 2 is the G. What do I have? Cross it out and replace it with x. Put a little x in there. So we have 3, the square root, and then x. The inner expression here is x minus 4. Okay, so I have 5, have the parentheses, to the power of 2, and then minus 4. The inner expression is x minus 2. So I have 5, absolute value of x, and then plus 3. Okay, right here, make your square, put your x minus 7, make your square root, and you're just going to put x. Okay. Cross it out, put x. Okay. Alright, pause the video and do numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. That page right there. And then I'll teach you how to do 5, 6, 7, 8 here in a moment. Okay, now I'm on the wrong page here, so this page I'll come back to, but then turn the page over so you can read the directions. You have to find, this isn't going to be real meaningful to you, I get it, okay? I think you'll figure out how to do it, but here's what an inverse relation is. Inverse means opposite, okay? So what you do is you start by putting the letters in the opposite places. X equals 8y minus 1, okay? Is that it? No. Now you have to get the y by itself. So here's where the y is at. I have a times 8 and a minus 1, so I'd have to add 1 first. Now over here I don't know what that number is, so I just put a little plus 1 there. Okay, so now rewrite it, line up your equation. You have x plus 1, and over here you have 8y. Now the opposite of times 8 is divide by 8, okay? So I divide by 8, but I don't know what that number is, so I just underline it and put 8, okay? And now you're there, okay? The y is now isolated, and we have x plus 1 over 8. Okay, the next one, inverse switch the variables, x. Okay, and I have to get the y by itself now, so here's the y. So you got a plus 3, so you need a minus 3. And I don't know what x is, so I just put x minus 3. Now the opposite of times negative 20 is divide by negative 20, so we're going to divide by negative 20. Now I don't know what number is actually over there, so I just underline that expression and put negative 20. So x minus 3 over negative 20. Okay, now there's going to be one extra step, but you can handle it, okay? Reverse your x and y. X equals 2y to the third minus 7. Now we have to get the y by itself. So you got minus 7, you'd add 7. We don't have a number over there. We have a letter, and we have a letter on the other side. We just put that letter plus 7. Okay, now with the 2, again, I divide by 2. Remember to make your line when you divide, okay? Now, you'd like to think that's your answer, but what about this third power? Well, when I have a power on this y I'm trying to get by itself, I cross out the power, and I'm going to make a root, okay? And it's a third power, so I need a 3 in the index of the radical. Now I have my answer, okay? The cubed root of x plus 7 divided by 2. It's kind of weird, but okay. So x equals y to the second minus 6. Okay, so we've swapped the variables, and I have to get the y by itself. This is where I'm going to see the answer. So we got a minus 6, so we add 6, but again, we don't have a number on the other side, so we put a plus 6. Okay, now we don't have to divide here because there's not a multiplying number in the front like there was on the first 3. But you do have to get rid of that exponent by making a root, and it's a second power, so we put a 2, so it's a square root. So the square root of x plus 6. Okay, now I'm going to go to that page I skipped. Okay. So again, swap the x and the y. I have to get the y by itself. So we got minus 3. So it will be x minus 3 equals 7y. Now I have to divide by 7. I don't actually have a number I can divide by 7, so I just underline what's over there and put 7 on the bottom. There's no power, so there I am. So x minus 3 over 7. Okay, next one. Swap those variables. Okay, and we have to get the y by itself now. Okay. So plus 1, plus 1. Now I divide by 8. There's not, again, I don't know what number's actually over there, so I don't have a number I can actually divide this by 8. So I underline it. There's no power, so we have x plus 1 over 8. Okay, next, swap the variables. Now I have to get the y by itself, okay? So here's my y. It's got 3 numbers with it. We do the plus first, okay? So that would be x minus 7 equals 4y to the third. Then we have a 4, so we got to divide by 4. Now I have a power, so I get rid of the power and make a radical and put a 3 in the index, okay? So it's a radical, a cubed root, x minus 7 divided by 4. You can't take the cubed root of it because you don't know what's inside. Okay, last one. I swap the x and the y. And now I have to get the y by itself. Okay. So plus 10, you got a minus 10. You don't know what number's there, so it's just going to be the expression x minus 10. You don't have to divide. You do have a radical or a power, so you make a radical with a fourth. Okay. Now we're there. Okay, hopefully that's okay. And then now you're ready to do 5, 6, 7, and 8.